brother and I are heading up. We're at, I think this is Golden Sage. Yeah, we're going up to pick up our group at the Woodlands Alden Ridge Center. And it should be interesting. We're gonna go out the ridges today. We've got a spare battery. It's overcast right now, that's what it's supposed to be. The temperature is about 15 Celsius there, about I'm estimating, but it's a crispy one. We got a nice front yesterday, it brought some rain. It's been muggy. Earlier in the week, it was like 28 C, 80 degrees, you know, and warm. So this is a nice change. I love this kind of weather. So I got one bottle because it shouldn't be too warm, and I'll fill up at the stops.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, rode into the woodland. We picked up the group at the Alden Village Center. We headed down Research Forest, went on Honea-Egypt Community Road. We stayed all the way through Honea. We took Raven Chapel, Millrouse, South Pine, to 2854 into Montgomery. Briefly stopped at Taco, went out on 1097, Mount Pleasant. Exited the forest on 149. Right there, we took Osborne Road to 1375, which brought us back to 149. Grissom Trail there, Taliafero, Cedar Hill, Hoke Road, back to Base Chapel, into Richards. All of that's on camera. We took 1486, found out that at Dacres that Johnson Road was under construction, so we took Mount Moriah into Bobville, and then Jackson, all the way back 149 into Magnolia, past Karen there, and took 1488. Did a rotating pace line there. It was very nice. Mike Barrera set that up. That's all off camera. And we got into the woodlands, a very pleasant day, a good turnout, and we really enjoyed it. It was a smoother, steadier pace.
Man, how are you?
Okay, no, I'm so out of shape.
Let me.
Me too. Just.
I'm gonna go there.
Texas, need a seat or something? Is that what this one was called?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Terry confirming the route.
Taliafero, I guess.
Yeah,
Taliafero, that's an Italian road. You'll get to check it out. It's fun. It's quiet. I try to keep us on the
So this one says Springfield, Texas via Cedar Hill, 1486 South. Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
She's confirming the route that she downloaded to her
Cedar
head
Hill,
unit.
Base Chapel.
Base Chapel.
Yeah, all those little quiet roads.
Take a ride on that road to Richards.
Okay, guys, I think this is it. Max, how you doing, buddy?
Laura and I are matching.
All right, let's do it. Let's have some fun.
All right.
That's Jerry Ludner over there. That's Max, we hadn't seen in a while. He's on the left. That's Abby. This is Frank.
You do 85.
John.
Jason's
Shampoo. This is Terry.
Chickened out.
Who? Who was coming?
Adrian
Adrian?
and Jason just.
Oh, they were going to come?
They said they were, but.
Yeah, we heard her say that two people, Adrian and somebody else, was supposed to come, but we don't wait for people. We cater to those who show up on time. That's why I put the route out there, so those who are late can chase up or whatever and ride up to us or whatever. But we don't want people who get up early and come on time to wait for other people, you know, unless they're here using a restroom or something. But for somebody who just said they might be there and they don't show up, we roll at 7:30, and you can see it's 7:33 already. You know, we're rolling. And that's what Mike Barrera and I are talking about. And he's explaining that.
Eldrin.
I know.
Yeah, Laura and I are matching because that's the female version of what I'm wearing. That is the training,
I like that color.
the protein training jersey in what they call wine,
Yeah.
and the protein shorts in wine. The jersey is very warm. In fact, I'm not wearing a base layer.
Shoes.
Oh yeah, those are nice. I have white shoes. I was gonna wear them with this, but I didn't get them clean. They just look too shabby. So I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
can't do it today.
So what happened is that the training jersey that Rapha sells, the protein training jersey, they're warmer than the normal jerseys. I don't wear them above 80 degrees Fahrenheit, let's say. They're just very warm. In fact, on this ride, I just wore the jersey, no base layer, and it was perfect for these
I think I could
conditions.
have used the best layer
Like you see,
because I'm
Oh
cold.
yeah.
Paul is cold. It's colder than he thought, and he's wearing an Aero jersey, which is lighter than the one I'm wearing. So you know you
See
can't
how
get it
warms
perfect
up.
all the
I
time.
think, yeah, it's not going to last long like that.
So this is the warm up. Mike Barrera is sporting the RS gold and black jersey and the gold and black GTO shorts. So Asos and Rapha leading the pack out of the Woodlands, Texas. We're headed out to Richards on yet another adventure. So I'm slowing the group down as we approach the intersection. The light's red. This is a really good shot that Paul picked up. I like that the guys are so comfortable with the camera being here now since we started our rides that they don't pose for it or whatever. I think that's kind of cool. They're just riding and talking. We're riding two abreast. We take the right lane. It's early Saturday morning. A lot of times when it's very busy, we'll ride that shoulder you see to the right. But this is better because we can chat as we warm up and conversate. That's a nice thing about our sport. Laura and I are matching. You will hear she and Paul chat about the kid.
I said Team Veloharmony.
He says Team Velo because she and I are matching. She's got the female version of the kit I have. The training jersey is nice and warm. I like that jersey for this temperature. But you got to be careful because once it gets much above 80, the training kits are too warm. They went somewhere to ride during the week, Fredericksburg, and that's what Laura said. Since Wednesday, she took 2 days off, so her legs. She hopes her legs are fresh. I didn't get to ride much this week. I did one short ride on Thursday. That was it. I was very busy. So as a result, I'm keeping my cadence high as I chat with Mike Barrera to kind of save my legs.
What do you have on there?
Paul is cold. He's running. It's cooler than forecasted as we head out. It never really warmed up as we expected. So it says 17 C, but it probably feels more like 10 or 12, something like that. 55 or something like that. That's probably what it feels like. But it's nice. And this jersey's perfect.
I said I have this kit.
You have the one he has?
Yep.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. I just haven't worn
You got enough rights for all the kids you have.
I was like that looks very familiar.
So Paul said he has the same kit I have. I didn't know he had them.
Yeah, he wore
And-
that a couple of weeks ago. He was so excited he got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura wore the long sleeve jersey a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about it, and she and I chatted, and I found the male version. So I got the long sleeve, and I got this short sleeve. And I try to get pieces that can go with multiple shorts so that you can have one piece and wear them in 3 or 4 variations. That spreads your dollar. It's a good shot. Everybody's talking. That's Frank on the left, John, Clement Champoussin, Malbrecht on the right. That's Jerry Lutheran behind Frank on the left. And that's Terry on the right. Now, Terry is the one who tells us, oh, I'm tired. My legs are tired or whatever. Then she goes to the front and starts drilling it. So don't believe cyclists. They're a bunch of storytellers. If a cyclist says he or she is tired, you might want to go ahead and throw something in the tank. So we gave her a hard time about that. I was telling everybody, see, yeah, that's Terry. Terry says she's tired, and she goes to the front and starts drilling the pace. So it was just a fun ride, good group, a nice bunch. Most of the ride was very smooth. So we're going towards Egypt Road that will take us up to Huffsmith-Conroe Road. And Mike and I are talking about, how Asos does not even try to push their stuff. They're like, we know our stuff is good. You can try it if you want. They just put a lot of technical stuff on their website. There's not a whole lot of marketing spiel. They just tell you about the fabrics and the function. That's it. It's a nice difference versus the other stuff that's out there. That's what we're chatting about. He's got the RS kit on with the GTO shorts, which he likes. That guy tapped his horn at us. I waved. So you see me throughout the ride thanking drivers that pass us safely and are patient. It's kind of nice. We're not enemies. We all share the road. So that's the attitude I have. So even when they behave honorary or they do something mean, I try not to let it change my disposition where possible. Sometimes you have to count to 10 before you respond. But I try not to respond negatively, even if they do something negative. I just kind of let it slide.
Well, too late now.
My goal is to get on my bike, ride it, get back home, get on and do the things I need to do. As long as they don't hit me with that cars, I'm fine. Whatever else, that's the way you have to think about it. Just, let it go. You're not going to prove anything. Some people can be taught. They have to learn by experience. You know what I mean? So you're not going to teach anybody who's not ready to receive information. So no point in responding negatively to something someone does. It takes two. So just let it go and they'll move on. Don't escalate. De-escalate. We're turning right, so I point to Mike, knows. And when we're riding together like this, try not to half wheel the rider you're talking with. Keep the wheels lined up. If somebody you're talking with keeps going faster and faster, you just don't have to let them go. Because eventually you all start doing full gas. You start going full gas, you can't talk anymore anyway. So this is the beginning of the ride, and then on the end there is a part where Mike Barrera calls it the love ride, where after all the hostilities, once we get into town, we kind of cool down, So this is the warm up and the cool down. So I guess we'll call both sections the love ride, in reference to a lady that he knew in California. So I like listening to Mike's stories about, just cycling and life in general. So when I mentioned on this ride at the end, I said, "Is this the love ride?" He said, "Oh, you remembered." I said, "Yep." So listening is good. You learn. You get to know people. Mike and I have similar beliefs that we're discovering as we talk more and more. Just in how we do things and how we treat people. Just simple, kind of conservative. I mean, I have an open mind, but I don't tag myself as liberal or conservative. I guess I'm a live and let live kind of person. Let people be who they are. As long as they're not harming you, it's okay. If everybody were the same, the world would be boring. Think about it. It's the differences that make things interesting. There's John, looks like he's having fun. He's got a smile on his face. So does Frank. Jerry is chatting with Terry. You'll be riding hard and Terry wants to talk. I'm like, I don't want to talk right now. And throughout the ride, she was making comments about my gearing. She said, "Wow, you're really strong. You got that's all you carry." I've got like a 1225, which I think is average around here. She probably carries like a 32 or something bigger, smaller. So she probably thought I should have something like that. But I have a 28 on another wheel. That's plenty. And I told her I run a 39 in the front. So it should be okay.
Straight out of California.
Cali girl.
Turn Texan down.
Yeah, I call him San Diego, Texas.
Okay. Oh yeah, I heard that on the last video. I'm gonna get going.
He's ours. We claim him.
Yeah, I called Mike San Diego, Texas, Mike, on the last video when I was narrating. And right here he says he likes being here. I told him it's nice having you here. He's a breath of fresh air. I'm glad that he's gonna stay here permanently. He and his wife found a place nearby. He's living on the shoulder of the city like we do. He's gonna be in the northwestern shoulder. So he'll be able to ride to the rides and all of that and still be in a quiet area. He's living somewhere where he can ride within the subdivision and get some loops done without going out if he doesn't want to. So he took his time and did it the right way. He really remembers stuff, and he actually actively took the effort to learn the area. So Mike knows the area. He's very familiar with stuff, and he seems to be having a blast being here. He says he really likes being here. So it's great having him here. So he told us about a ride they used to do in San Diego where they would have structure, you know, let's do this effort for 30 seconds each person or whatever. And he said after leaving, guys have been contacting him to say, man, we miss you, we wish you were here, you know, because the character of the ride has changed since he left. Because he said one time they were doing the ride and some new guy came and took off, and he went to the front to let everybody know, let's wish him well on his endeavors, but let's continue to do what we set out to do. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. He says that it's good to build a ride that long after you've moved on may continue, and that's what we're trying to do here with this ride. Have a consistent ride that people can look forward to, you know, and let everybody come and do their own thing. And you'll see there will be stretches of the ride. We end up picking up some riders after Taco that did not start with us. They didn't know what we're doing. They didn't introduce themselves. We didn't care. They were in the pace line. And at some point, they just started going faster than we wanted to go. And you would see us just kind of let them go. And at that moment, it was before our turn. So they ended up missing out on where we were going, but we went a different direction. So if you hook up with a group, find out what they're doing if you want to continue riding with them. There's a dog over there called Killer because he's barking and tugging on his owner, and he's a small dog. It's always the small ones. As I said, hey, Killer. And the owner laughed. Yeah, we had a dog last week that just attacked the pack. You know, he wouldn't slow down even when we yelled at him. That's one of the things we're chatting about. There's a car coming, so I'll let them know a car coming. Mike kind of takes a wide turn just to be cautious. But the driver saw, so he stopped before the corner. We were not cutting the corner or anything, but you know.
Man, good to see you, man.
See you. I know it's been a long time. I see you
That's
guys riding all the
Max
time.
talking with Paul.
And I'm in my car with driving my kids somewhere.
Yeah.
And I see you guys riding. I'm like,
I need to get out there.
you guys doing all good?
Yeah, man, all is well. All is well, man.
Great.
It's good to see
Max
you
says
out
he
here,
sees
man.
Paul and I riding all the time when
Now
he's
the
driving.
The weather's great.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, I'm like, if it's under 50 something,
Yeah.
like, I want to just wait a little bit, maybe go out ride in the afternoon.
Yeah,
But
Max doesn't like the cold weather.
It's getting better, so.
yeah. Cool.
Spring is in the air. I got a plant outside my window. Whenever it blooms, I know spring is here. And it's pretty much, it's not official, but spring is
You
here.
ride it tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't, but the group will.
Okay.
Yeah, there is always here Saturday and Sunday ride.
Yeah. So you start now from there, from Walgreens?
Yeah, we started in that corner.
So Max used to join the Team RR group. We started our own ride just to have some consistency and kind of control the character of the ride per
just
se.
ride alone, Max, or do you ride with the group, or do you ride alone most?
So in the week,
Yeah.
I probably ride alone.
Yeah.
Because you know my schedule, I work from home 3 days a week now,
Okay.
and so whenever I can, you know, I get an hour at lunch or something.
Okay.
Which makes sense. That
The
works
one
for
I
me
try to
too.
do
I sneak
in the
out during the
group,
week.
On weekdays is the Whole Foods on Wednesday,
Yeah.
but it's still too dark, you know. It's not like
He's talking about a ride on Wednesdays out of Whole Foods that start at 7 and
Yeah.
it's dark.
but it's still
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Oh wow. Evening, huh?
Yeah, evening. So right now it's still dark, right? So once the time changes, I think 2 weeks, it's gonna be better.
The ride he's talking about is used to be called the NPR
The
ride.
weekends I want to start riding.
They ride with lights. It's
Yeah.
basically at night. It starts at 7 p.m. and it's a hammer fest from light to light in the city. I've never done it, but I've heard of it. It's a fast, short ride, might be 20, 21 miles, so you just go balls out. We're on Honea-Egypt Community Road. Everybody letting no car back. In a little bit, we're going to see Kenny. Kenny lives out on 2854 out where we're going in Honea, and so he rides into town. Sometimes he'll drive to the start, but today he rode, knowing the route. Sometimes I list the route, and I also put a text that says where all the turns are. So Kenny knew where we would be going.
We always ride together.
So he's coming the other way, and so what Max is saying that he sees Paul and I riding all the time. We're always together. He said when he sees us, he wants to. I got to get out there. You know how it is. You see cyclists and you're running errands in your car, and you're like, I got to get out. And so I guess after he sees us, he hurries up and gets out there. But he said he likes to go out later, once it's below 50 in the morning. He doesn't like the cold. So in a little bit, we're going to see Kenny. Kenny's going to do a U-turn. He's coming the opposite way to intentionally join us. I think he's already turned. Yeah, I think that's Kenny. Yes, that's Kenny. He's already turned. The camera didn't pick up his turn. So he's going to drift to the back. That's another reason I post the route, so people can kind of know what we're doing. We try to stick close to it. Every now and then, like on this route, we had to modify the return. Paul's letting them know there's a car back. They're pretty patient. I don't know if Kenny slides in front of Paul, or I think it looks like he's going to get in front of Max. So this way the drivers can see around us. There's a hill in the distance, so it's not very clear. And so they may wait because you can't see the other side. It's a slight overpass. I think I am pulling at this point. I'm going to get off the front. Once we start to go downhill, I think I'm going to get off the front, and then Laura will take over. Laura's on my wheel. Just kind of setting the early tempo, 20, 21, thereabouts, flat road. So everybody kind of get a feel for it, just that's all it is. I'm going to get out of there as soon as I can. I'm going to get off the front. I'm sitting there right at sweet spot.
Come back.
So the car back is really good, especially if you at the back or close to the back, because it lets the riders know up front maybe it's not the best time to pull off the front per se. And what I usually do is I check before I pull off, make sure it's clear, and then I pull off. But I'm trying to wait till we're going slightly flat or downhill so Laura can take over with a chance to kind of get a rhythm per se for being in the wind. So whoever it is on your wheel, give them a nice area to kind of take the lead. I think it's somewhere around there if I remember correctly. I didn't want to be up there any longer than necessary. I've been off my program for a bit. Yeah, I'm off the front. I'm drifting back. I checked. I knew nothing was coming. I used my mirror and I looked behind before I got out there. I think I'm going to get in front of Paul.
Get in, my brother.
And knowing that there's a stretch right here where there's a crack. This road gets covered with water when we have a lot of flooding or a lot of rain. And so the road, I thank that guy. He was very patient. He was there that whole time just waiting. Gave us plenty of room. He was sitting in the back just kind of pacing us. Yeah, Max hadn't been out in a while, so it was good to see Max. We may need to add him to the group. I don't have his information, but we usually wait for people to request to be added to our chat board, because I want to add people that will actively come and do some of the rides, instead of just having a bunch of people on the board that make a lot of noise but never show up for the rides. that's the way the team our board was. They had like over 100 people there, and you get 7 or 6 showing up for the rides. So we're focusing on making sure that we get active riders, so to speak, added to the list. There's no point in them knowing what we're doing if they're not going to come to the ride from time to time. So we're focusing on just quality. We want people that want to come out and encourage others to come out. Because when you know someone else is going to ride, or you know there's a ride going on the chat board, it encourages you to drag yourself out of bed. Because you already committed the night before saying, I'm going to be there, or I'm down like Mike Barrera does. So, you know, that drags you out of bed, even when you don't feel like leaving a warm bed on a cold morning. And then you get out there, you're like, man, I'm glad I came out. You know, you've been there. You've probably been there a day where you really didn't feel like getting out, and then you went out there and had a great ride. You're like, wow, I'm glad I went out, you know. It's just good to get out and clear your head, you know. You're running around all week, working, running errands. Do something different. This part of the road snakes up just a tad. I kind of stand to keep that gear rolling. You know, you make plans and then life takes over. I have not been on my regular schedule for like a month. I had a couple of weeks off, then I got back into it, had a good training week, and then, you know, so my training's like helter-skelter.
Yep.
I'm telling Paul it's a good turnout. And we got a good sized group. It's nice. People like the rides that we're doing because we don't predetermine what we're gonna do as far as the pace. It's going to vary based on who's here and the time of the year. That's the attitude. And what we try to do is let people have their fun.
Must be that Laura pulling.
It is Laura. The girls, I'm going to say girls. I don't mean disrespect. I like to call them girls because I live in a house I'm the only guy, and there are 3 girls, my kids, and then my wife. So I refer to them as girls. And they behave differently than guys. I mean, you know, more emotional and whatever else. And they have interests that vary versus the average guy and so forth. But what I was saying is, these ladies or girls in our group, they represent. They don't mess around. You come out here, you don't bring your A game, you're going to be working. That's what Paul made a comment. That must be Laura pulling.
He's trying to get back.
I'm going to tell her to get in front. And because Jerry pulled out a line. Jerry, I thought he wanted to go sit at the back. He usually does that. But he wanted to find out whether we're going straight on Honea-Egypt or not, or whether we're going to go through the neighborhood. So I'm telling her to go ahead and get in because Jerry likes to sit at the back. That's what I told her. So he's going to ask here. Yeah, he wanted to know if we're going straight on Honea-Egypt into Honea or whether we're going to go west like we did last week. So he's going to go to the front, and I think somebody wanted to know, or maybe he wanted to pull. I don't know. Yeah, later in the ride, it's off camera.
Yeah, somebody at the front wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah, Paul's asking. Yeah, so, but what happened is later in the ride, we're coming back, we're off camera on Mount Moriah, and Jerry and I sit at the back, we're chatting.
Good pull, Laura.
Laura knows a long day.
Yeah, I told her, that's what I said, Laura knows a long day. She said she's got to pace herself. That's what you do on a long ride. Take short pulls. There's enough people here to pull. Everybody rolling through. But what I was saying was that I'm sitting on Jerry's wheel. I mean, I'm chatting with Jerry. The group pulls away on Mount Moriah Road. We're kind of chilling. All of a sudden, there's a gap, and Jerry decides on a climb to ride up to the group. I looked down and I saw 900 and something watts, and I'm sitting in the draft. I was like, this guy's nuts. I didn't want to ride that hard at that point. So I let Jerry go. And so Paul told me that when Jerry caught the group, he just rolled straight to the front and continued the effort.
Yeah, that's Kenny right there, right?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, okay. I know that form.
I recognize it as soon as he did a U-turn.
Yeah, he just noticed that Kenny was here because Kenny slipped up a few riders before he got to the back earlier on Honea-Egypt.
I remember the shoes, the bike, and all that.
But since Laura and Mike Barrera have moved to the area and then riding with Mo and Jerry, all of a sudden now I'm getting very motivated to start training like I used to do when I raced. So I let Laura know we're actually chatting today. When I was working on the film a little bit, I let her know that they have motivated me to start doing some race-specific training because I'm tired of not going with all the moves. You know, so it's time for me to focus more on, you know, some of the higher end efforts. And so she was like, she sent this little thing. She said, iron makes iron, or something like that. She put in there. I thought that was cool in the text. I'm trying to find the message because there was something unique that she said, and I really liked the way it sounded. Yeah, she said, yes, as they say, iron sharpens iron, and we all push and pull and grow stronger together. That's what she said. And that's really what has happened. I've been motivated to basically do more high intensity work. It's just a lot of fun, you know. When Mike Barrera came initially, we used to do these like on a Sunday. We'd ride away from the group. I would sit in there. But, you know, earlier on, I wasn't doing those kind of specific things. So it's nice now having this group, and with the consistency when we go out, it's going to be more fun. And then I may dip and dab in a few USCF events as time permits. Things are settling down just on and off the bike to where I'm looking forward to doing a few different things. Some of the little niggling issues I've been dealing with over the years are kind of receding, if you know what I mean. So, Max was blowing his nose. Max like, if it's 50 or below, I'm not coming out. I'll go out later in the day. That's what he was telling Paul earlier. Yeah. Jerry does not like the very cold. Jerry, his reason is because he's an asthmatic. So with his asthma, when it's very cold, he has trouble breathing. So he waits till the temperature kicks up a little bit, closer to like 10 C or so. Then he'll go out. So his rides when it's very cold are like 10, 11 in the morning. He's heading out. We see him sometimes after we're going back. But it's always fun to have company. So he posted on the board after the ride that he enjoyed riding with us. Because he rode with us. We got to Honea and we got to Taco Corner. And then he and Mo took off while we stopped to get some drink. It was great. At Taco Corner, everybody and their uncle were out. All the guys we hadn't seen for like 3 months. The Bears that have been hibernating. Mark Kate. Dan the Man. Let's see, Neville. Michael. All those guys from Team R. We had not seen them since last fall. They came out because it was a warmer morning today. So all the bears are getting out of their caves. It was very, very nice to see those guys. We just hadn't seen them or heard from them. Like they fell off the face of the earth. That's a slight little bump we went over there. You know, so it was a very, very nice ride. Nice weather. The weather's getting nicer. The grass is getting green again. Time to break out the mower. I got to get my mower started. What I do is I run it till it runs out of gas. I have a shut-off valve that I installed on my mower. Otherwise, you get deposits in a carb, and it's a pain when it sits for 3 months. You know, so. But no, I don't have that problem after installing the shut-off valve. I'll be cranking that bad boy up. And put music on and drive around the yard, you know. I clear all the tree limbs and stuff because I don't want to mess up my blades. They last a lot longer if you're not running over big pieces of wood or rocks or beer cans. We got a lot of guys that come to do the yard for our neighbors, and they drink at noon and they throw their beer cans in other people's yards. I see them in my yard all the time. It's really annoying, you know. Come, you're at work at noon drinking beer. I mean, come on, man. You know, we're working with heavy equipment. These boys. I know it's them because they have a particular brand of beer they like. Yeah, I guess it's inexpensive. It's one of those off brands. They're not the Budweisers and whatever, but you can you just know it. I'm like, it's these guys. I know it's you. I just haven't seen you. So one time I went to one of them. They were across the street working in my neighbor's yard, and I told him, I said, look, I'm tired of picking up cans out of my yard. So you tell all your friends I'm going to be watching. Then he laughed. You know, they're having their siesta or whatever. You know, they sit down. They go to these work trucks. They buy their tacos or whatever. They're sitting around messing around and just lazily throwing cans out of their cars as they're leaving. That's what's going on. The road kicks up here. You see the watts. So what I was going to explain here is when you're putting out watts, like 400 and some watts like I'm doing here, I don't really look at it when I'm riding. I don't look at the watts or whatever. All I'm paying attention to is, okay, how does this cadence in this gear feel? Can I continue for this stretch? Because I'm looking ahead, looking at distance. I'm waving a guy back who's been patient. I thank them for being so patient. I'm looking ahead and I see the road going up. I know this road, we've been here. We're going to be doing this for about, let's say, 2 kilometers. So I need to make sure that what I'm doing here, I can keep doing it. Meaning, do I need a downshift? Do I need an upshift because my breathing feels like I'm spinning too much or whatever? Those are the questions you need to always ask yourself, especially in a group. Even when you're by yourself. Am I overreaching? That's why you carry those gears. Use all of them. You're going to carry 10? Don't use one. I'm waving at the driver back there. I can see that it's clear. I'm waving him up. You have to do that carefully because even more mentioned one time he said, well, what if you wave them up and they come around, something happened? Well, yeah, I'm waving you up, but you still got to watch. You know, you're driving the car, you know. But he was right, you know. So I only do that when it's clear, and I wanted him to go by because we're going to go slower here. At Leo Drive, this is going to kick up. I didn't want him sitting there and getting impatient. So it was clear for like a mile, and so I waved him up to get him around us so we can have the road in peace. This is the same hill where Laura pulled last week, and right after we finished it, she pulled off to where I just enjoyed the transition to the light. I like coming up this road. It may not be the smoothest road, but there's something about it, its character, that just makes you want to dig in and do some work. You don't want to be riding solo on this road. It's not fun. So if you're with the group, you tend to work harder to last. It's a good road to do threshold work or threshold workouts on. Mike Barrera loves it in either direction. Since he's been here, every time we come down, he'll sit and just pull us into town. All the drivers were very, very well behaved this morning. They just made me proud to be a Texan. We had a mishap last week off camera, and Mike Barrera mentioned, he said, man, these drivers in Texas are very friendly. Because we had a driver that stopped to make sure everything was okay and all of that. And he said, hey, in California, they don't do that. I was like, we need to get more of the Californians to come out here. I said, this is Texas, man. Everybody's friendly. And I think I even said that today when we got to Richards, Texas, because we were sitting outside the store. People we don't know just come start chatting with us. That's the way it is here. It's like a small country town. And it's probably the same like maybe in Tennessee, Nashville, you know. It's the South. Because when I came to this country many years ago, I noticed there was a big difference between being in Manhattan and being in Houston. Nobody talked to you that much on the street in Manhattan because, you know, it's a big city and all that stuff. But once I came down to Houston, Big difference. You're just walking down the street, people just come up and start talking to you like it's no big deal. Just has that small town feel down here in Texas. So it's great that he noticed that. People are more open down here. They behave like people, let's put it that way. They're not too much into keeping your nose up in the air. This is 2854. We're going to turn left and we're going to take a short right on Rabon Chapel. I used the opportunity to blow my nose because this wind, even though it says 17, it does not feel like 17. 17 is almost 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Feels like 55, which is like, 13C or something like that. It's cooler. So right around this curve, now watch, Max looking around. I'm not sure why he's doing that, but he's gonna leave a gap, and he knows better. He's experienced enough, but he hadn't been riding with us in a while. So I sit on his wheel. I'm like, I'm not pulling you. I said, but in my mind, I'm like, you let that gap happen, you're gonna do some work. So I'm sitting, he will look back a couple of times. Watch. I don't know if the camera picks him up, but he looks back at me. Look, we still have a gap right now. He's not on Laura's wheel. I'm like, you let it open, you're gonna work. Until you give up, I'm not coming around. So we're riding back up too, and because that will encourage him on the next turn to not leave a gap. I don't have any extra energy that I pack other than what I have. You see how much of a gap we have? I'm sitting there, I'm like, he's gonna close it. I can close it, but why should I? He let it open. So he rides us back to his credit. And we're back on Laura's wheel. But he had looked back at me a couple of times. I'm like, I ain't coming around. You go around the corner, you got to stay close. Sometimes you can't because of whatever's going on, but then you got to put your head down and get on that wheel as quickly as possible. Then you turn off your power. This road is a slight grade most of the way. Between 1 to 2.5 until we get across the stop sign the distance. Then we go up that 3.5% bump. So with the wind that we're going into, we're working here. My wheels started getting noisy once we started getting closer to Taco Corner. My front wheel, I have Campagnolo Urus wheels on this bike today. And it's from 2006. It's an old pair, still good. It has alloy spokes. And if the tension loosens up, they become like a musical instrument. And it gets louder and louder as they continue to loosen, and you don't want to keep riding them like that because then they start breaking. And for some reason, those spokes, in my opinion, are overpriced. Because the people that sell them individually, they want too much. They want 10 times what you pay for a regular spoke. It's ridiculous. So I try not to mess with them. So I ended up, after the ride, getting them tensioned and everything. The tension was off. So I got them tensioned, and then I put some Loctite on the nipples so they don't back out on me, because I'm not sure why they were doing that. I haven't used them that much. So by keeping my cadence up, I try to maintain my smoothness. So because you're riding with others and the speeds will change. It's one thing when you're riding by yourself and you're cruising, you can find a cruising cadence and you maintain that. But with the group, you need to always be in a slightly smaller ratio than you think you need so you can rev up easier. And I'm making sure I stay close because, as I said, I didn't get to ride much this week. Knowing that I'm off my plane, I definitely cannot be messing around. I made the route longer because the weather was so much milder than we've had in a while. And I figured, man, let's just do a longer, steadier ride. That was the original plan. I even posted that, since it's a longer ride, the pace should be more moderate, But it still can vary, And always let people have their fun. This is a fun thing. So my goal this week is to train more consistently, even if it's for 1 hour, just to get out on the bike, keep my body into the swing of things. The road is slightly downhill here. So the hammerheads in this group are Kenny, Abby. Yeah, Abby says that foolishness. Every time we post a ride, he says, have mercy. I'll be there, but please have mercy, please. He says have mercy, then he goes to the front and he drills it. Abby, Kenny, even Laura, and what's her name? Terry. Miss, I'm tired. Let's see who else. Frank. Frank kept jumping off the front like a jackrabbit. I had to tell Laura, let him go.
Good job,
I
man.
told Jerry good. That was Jerry pulling. I told Jerry good pull. That was steady. For Jerry, that was very steady.
Stop it.
Jerry pulls a lot harder than that. Jerry's cutting us a break right now, I guess. So we stop because, other road users are just corner. And we go through. Just know that it always takes a few more watts to get going. Same thing with your car. Every time you stop to get going, it takes more fuel. Once you're up to speed, you save energy. So you might as well do it quickly and settle down on whatever wheel you're going to follow. No point prolonging it. That's the same way I drive my car. I get to the speed I want to get to and I cruise. And most of the time, if there's 2 lanes, I drive in the right lane, let the other people go around. Because in this city, these guys drive like they're racing each other. I've been there, done that. I don't participate in that foolishness. I try to stretch that gasoline as far as I can. Get as many kilometers or miles out of a tank that I can. I'd like to sip my gas. You're not going to gain that much time. I clocked the stuff on my GPS stuff. Driving conservatively, you might lose a few minutes, but what's a few minutes? Nothing. We're climbing here is about 3.5%, I think. But this is a very, very moderate pace here, because usually we'll climb 5-something watts. Everybody's under control. So all through here, I'm hearing my front wheel, chicka, 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 as it goes around. Chicka, chicka, there's a little tink, like a tink sound. I'm like, what the heck? So I look down at the brakes. They're not rubbing. There's a slight wobble because I like my wheels straight. And the longer we continue to ride, the noisier it kept getting. So at Richards, I tweaked it a little bit. It's enough to get me home with no issues. It was still going to be fine, but once I got home, I figured it out, sorted it out. The last time I used them, they were fine. I hung them up. And so all I did was took them off and put them on the bike. It didn't start making noise until later. We're going to be turning right. You will see me go out to the left. I'm doing all I can to put out minimal effort. I'm trying to carry this free speed from the descent into that corner. Almost 40K we came down. I'm just going to turn. Right here, you lose a lot of speed. It's like 2% on that corner. I'm in a moderate gear. I don't even get up. I just spin. You still got to put on the watch, but you do it for sure like 10, 15 seconds. And you got to train like that, even by yourself. When you're training and you stop for a corner, the light changes, stand up and get the bike going. Get up to speed. So your body gets used to putting out those little explosive efforts, however short. Whatever the kind of riding you do calls for.
Mr. Kenny. Hey, Paul, what's up, man? Good, man.
Yeah, Paul and Kenny and Abby and Laura and Terry, they went out to Fredericksburg, Texas. A lot of climbing out there. It's Texas Hill Country. You know, you got upwards of 10% plus climbs out there, you know. Paul was like, yeah. He said he needed a smaller ratio in the back. Because he's got a compact in the front, so I think he probably could have used a 28. I think he had a 25. So even in a group based on the terrain and the wind, you can be doing 200, 350 watts. You're working. So right here, I have to work hard to stay on that wheel because somebody accelerated in that corner. It's these little accelerations that if you're not used to it, eventually add up and tire you out.
Eldred, these girls are real. That's Terry up there.
What Paul's talking about, like I just mentioned, around that corner, somebody went faster. That was Terry. That's Terry. Who you will hear her tell us she's tired when she pulls off. In a little bit. I told him, I said they're representing. These girls are representing. You mess around, you show up here out of shape, they're gonna work you. You better bring your A game. They're not messing around. So we try to take advantage where we have it, meaning the flat roads, the downhills, where we can use our big bodies, you know. Because we have to ride at 450, 500 watts on those climbs with them. When I turn left, you'll hear Terry in a couple of kilometers when she pulls off, talking about her legs are tired. I'm like, yeah, right. Famous words of a cyclist. You notice how I stayed close to Max. I'm trying to not work very hard. That in itself takes a lot of work. But that's the way you have to ride all the time, even in your races. Save your energy for that one big effort that can make a difference. Maybe going with the right brake, the winning brake, or going off the front if you're capable, you know. There's no point in wasting energy unnecessarily. So a lot of these rides, if we're just doing steady stuff, then my plan is to take long pulls, 5-10 minute pulls where applicable, depending on the size of the group. If it's a big group, I'll do a couple of minutes and get off the front. Because I want to do some work. You hear that wind. And Mill Route, I like this road because not only is it quiet, it's lumpy. And it's just a nice road to come through. In the summer, you're under the trees and the foliage, and all the leaves are in. You see the road going up. Look in the distance. I'm not sure how much it gets there. It might be 3.5% at the bump. There's a bump at the corner. Right here, it'll level off a bit. I'm going to stay to the left. There's usually the drain off from that road brings a lot of rocks and small pebbles and onto this lane. There's always water in that corner we pass. Right here, the road will go up as it curves. I think that's Terry that's pulled off. I will let you listen to what she tells Paul as she drifts back. I'm not sure what she said there.
Actually, my legs aren't bad,
See?
but I'm overall tired.
Okay.
Yeah, don't you believe that?
Should I go back to bed?
Should I go back to bed or something like that? She's messing with Paul. She talking about she's tired. Please, we went out later in the ride. She was drilling the pace.
it's a long ride to bring tired legs.
Paul says a long ride to bring tired leg. I didn't believe her for 1 second because I was sitting in the draft. I just explained up there when you saw the watts, 300 something, 250 to 350. She was pulling on a relatively flat road, and I'm doing 350 watts. Those are not tired legs. She's not tired. I mean, they may be a little tight because they went out of town and they did a lot of hills during the week, but I was like, please. I didn't say anything. I just heard what she told Paul as she drifted back. And one thing about cyclists like Terry and the rest of you that ride a lot, even when you're tired, once you get on the bike, it's almost like the body forgets you're tired. So that's probably it too. Maybe she doesn't feel super fresh because they had a heavy week. They did 2 climbing days back to back. I think I don't know if it was Tuesday and Wednesday or Wednesday or Thursday. Probably Wednesday and Thursday. And so, yeah, that may be just general. That she says she's generally tired. But once you get on the bike, like when we would do the Festive 500, we were riding every day. And yeah, you feel tired off the bike and walking seems difficult. Then you get on the bike, it's like the body forgets. So yeah, maybe that's what it is. But I don't know. I still don't believe cyclists when they say stuff. I wait to see. Maybe I'm just a skeptic. We're headed towards 2854. This is a descent here. And since the route was like 96 miles, so we're doing about, like, say, 58 kilometers today from the start of the ride. Paul and I ended up doing way more than that because we had another, say, 22, almost 30 kilometers, something like that. Probably 22, I think. I think it's about 11 miles. Let's see, 12 miles is about 20K. So we're right about 40K, let's say, in addition to what they do here. Almost 32K, not 40K. So 32K. So we did about almost 180K, Paul and I. Maybe 175, something like that. I don't worry so much about it as opposed to the hours. But I wanted a long ride. Hopefully, I was thinking people would tamp it down, but not these guys. They didn't care. Mike, you'll see Mike Barrera right here. You don't hear him. He's in front of me. When we turn that corner, he says to me, tranquilo. He says, we're going too fast for 100 miles. And right here, he slowed it down on purpose. So you're going to see 27, 28K. We're doing about 17, 18 miles an hour. He slowed it down on purpose after telling me, tranquilo. I think it's a Spanish word that means slow, tranquil, take it easy. Max is not doing the full ride. I think Max turned back around from Taco, based on his schedule and whatever else is going on. And I think we ended up, I heard Maurizio in a few kilometers at the light. I heard him talking. I didn't get a chance to chat with him, but Mo catches up to us, and then Jerry and Mo took off while we stopped at Taco. That's where we got to meet. We got to meet a lot of other cyclists that were there. It was nice to see a bunch of people at Taco who've been kind of naked over the winter. Even the vendors in Taco looked happy because all these guys in there buying. Mike buys coffee all the time. We buy other things like sports drinks. People they sell bananas there and stuff, and it's a taco place. So I don't buy the taco. I can't eat that stuff during a ride. But it was kind of good to just see everybody out. All the bears that have been hibernating since November, they were out. Mark Kate, Dan the Man, and Neville. It was good to see some familiar faces. We even saw Bob was there. And I saw Darren. Darren was there also. So it's good to have people like Mike in a group that will try to keep the ride under control. You know, I do sometimes myself, but I don't like to restrict people too much. So it's good to have some help. So when he said tranquilo, he wasn't going to get any argument out of me. We did seem like we were going very fast. And I hate to do a ride where you go so fast early and then you crawl home. We want to kind of keep the pace smooth and consistent. That encourages people to come through and take pulls also, because then they can pace themselves better. The road's going up right here. Just a little bit. So the group got shuffled a little bit when we turn on the 2854. That will happen. A lot of times there will be people that don't want to go to the front to take the lead. And if you're feeling okay, just go ahead and roll through. I just rolled through that corner and got on Mike's wheel because I was feeling all right. So it looks like Abby's on my wheel and Laura is on Abby's wheel. This is Max in front of Paul. I'm sitting on Mike Barrera's wheel. In about a kilometer, he will pull off, flick his elbow, and I would just roll past and just keep things steady. So when you're going downhill, it's good to actually keep pedaling where possible, unless you on a steep descent to where you can't even feel the gear, then that's okay. But this is not the case here. So I go through the gears. When I say I go through the gears, what I mean is I'm shifting to harder and harder gears to keep my rhythm the same as the road descends. That allows everybody to get a tempo. This is where Mike pulls off. He flicked his elbow. I go by. The road is clear, so I use the main lane just to get by, give him a little bit of room. I know we got other riders coming by as well. And as soon as I get by, I will get back on the shoulder. And knowing that he said tranquilo, we keeping things smooth. So I'm at the front and just keeping it steady. Even though the speeds are higher, the effort is the same. Because you're going downhill. What's nice about downhill, especially for big guys, as you're pedaling, a lot of times your heart rate's dropping as you're pedaling through the gears. So it gives you a chance to recover even while you're moving. It's the opposite on a hill. You know, sometimes you gotta let those little jackrabbits go and then hold your pace. I don't chase jackrabbits on the hill. I would save it until like maybe the last stretch of it. If they're doing something moderate early on and you can sit in, fine. Then at the end, let's say before the summit, if they start jumping, fine. You can go with them because you know that your terrain is, as soon as you get over that top, you have somewhat of an advantage because you're going to be able to drop like a rock. You're carrying, say, 20 kilos more than most of them. You know, let's say 15, 20 kilos thereabouts. They're very lightweight people. Back in the day when Merckx was at his peak, he had an adversary called Louis O'Connor, and Louis O'Connor was a small guy. You know, even Merckx made a comment to the reporters. He says, "I'm hauling 20 kilos more around those mountains." You know, Merckx is a big guy. He's at least 6'1". This is Highway 105. This road here, they eliminated our shoulder on the right there. They're doing a lot of construction. They're adding, I guess, protective medians out of concrete to keep the traffic separated. So there's no more shoulder on the right here. And Jerry was telling me that he didn't know that. He got on that thing and the cars were breakdancing behind him because he surprised them.
Mauricio.
That's Mauricio. I know I heard him.
Bring your dog repellent?
He said, did you bring your dog repellent? Mo. That's Maurizio Topotopini.
Luckily, they said, no.
He's talking about some incident he had with a dog on a ride. So she asked, did you bring your dog repellent?
I got everybody.
You know what saved me?
You're nothing without a six-pack.
The core.
Oh, I got so lucky. I mean, this is it.
That's it?
That was crazy, yeah.
Wait, that's it?
Nothing.
Holy crap.
But it rings.
What about your head, though?
I mean, Laura was pulling, so I know we were doing at least 25 miles an hour.
Oh, probably 30. Sure.
We
Just
were
say it.
22, 23.
Loretta.
It was a hard hit. He got like linebacker just took it down.
And then I opened my eyes, I see Mike. He goes, what's your name?
Well, I looked back here later. He was laying there like that.
What's your name?
Yeah.
What day is today?
This was last week, guys. We were riding off camera, and a dog went full out, as Mike Barrera puts it. The dog went full out Cujo on the back. Big dog, 125, 150 pounds, came from the left on 4086 and jumped up and basically jumped on Mo. Mo was in third position. I saw the dog coming and I yelled at the dog because normally they would freeze. Not this dog. He kept coming. So we spread out, and before Mo could realize, the dog jumped on him, knocked him down, and then Mike Barai ended up hitting the dog with his wheel, and the dog went yelping away. And so that's what he's talking about. It was very fortunate he didn't get too injured, but it knocked the wind out of him. So he was lying on the ground, and Mike Barai asked him if he knew his name and so forth and so on. So, but it ended up, yeah, these dogs, man, I blame the owner, because you got a dog that aggressive, you can't let him run on a public road like that. You know, he can injure somewhere, he himself can get hit by a car or something. So it was last Saturday. It's good to see Mo didn't get too injured, because, you know, he's preparing for stuff. We got stuff going on. So I was very, very pleased that he was not hurt. So it shook everybody. It just was one of those things. That dog was too aggressive to be running around. That's not a pet. I mean, nothing fazed him. He just kept coming from the left and jumped onto us. You know, basically left the ground. Like, that's what you hear more he's talking about back there. So I didn't get a chance to chat with him on this ride, but it was I put on Strava after he posted his ride that I'm glad he came out all right. He wasn't injured, so that was good. It's just one of those very unusual occurrences. I've never seen a dog come after a pack like that, to where it's so aggressive. A lot of them are, once they come out, they kind of screech and try to slow down. You know, not this guy. And he was a big dog. We ended up making a note of where it occurred on the way back, because Mike says, you know, we need to let people know to be on the lookout every time we go in that area, just in case he's still there. And maybe he just got out that one time, because we've never had a problem out there. And so, you know, dogs do get out. And so we made a note on the way back on this ride of where it occurred. And I have references. There are unique buildings in the area. They got a building, looks like an outdoor basketball gymnasium that's covered, but it's not really. It's part of a farm. I don't know what they're using it for, but it just has canopy out of concrete, you know, that you would see at a park with a basketball goal. And that's my reference point to just be extra cautious in that area. Because we didn't have a chance. We're moving at speed. Like Mo said, we're moving. Probably 22, 23. You know, Laura was pulling at a good clip. And none of us expected it. And I yelled. And Mo probably just heard the yelling. And then before he knew it, the dog was onto him. The dog jumped up. I didn't really see what happened because it was behind me. And when you're riding, I just heard the sound of the crash. Because you hear this crash. And you don't want to turn around to look at a crash, because you can cause another crash. So I had to slow down gradually before turning around, and I rode back. That's the thing when you're in a group ride and something happens behind you, resist the urge to immediately turn and look. Make sure nothing is in front of you that's gonna catch your wheel. Because if the other rider looks and you look, you guys are gonna connect. Because both of you are slowing down. So avoid turning around. Slow down cautiously and go make a U-turn and go back if you must. And if you only turn around if you're the first rider, knowing that nothing's in front of your front wheel. Because there's been other crashes that have happened because of something in the back and people didn't turn around carefully. Hope that makes sense. So as a rule, we don't turn around right away. I slowed down, Laura slowed down, and then we made a U-turn and went back. So he lay on the ground for a bit to catch his breath. And then Mike asked him, how's your breathing? He said, it's okay. Then he sat up. So while he was doing that, I grabbed his bike, checked the brakes, make sure everything was ready. And he ended up breaking the saddle rail on his carbon saddle. We're approaching Taco Corner. This is just a Shell gas station outside of Montgomery, Texas, that we all refer to as Taco Corner.
It used to be.
Yeah.
That little depression in the road that they filled it in several months ago.
Yeah.
So as we pull in, all the guys from Team RR, they used to ride with Team RR out here. I see Darren, Michael's here. In a little bit, Jerry would tell Paul, that's Darren on the right there, you barely can see him. But Jerry's gonna tell Paul that he's riding with Mo. They don't want to stop. That's Mo up there going. Jerry's gonna go with him. They're gonna keep going. There's three of them.
All right. Take care.
So Jerry's gonna go with Mo, and then he will catch back with us later because he knows the route. He's gonna go up opposite the route to make sure he doesn't miss us on 1486. This is the place we call Taco Corner. So this is after we've left Taco. We're on Osborne Road. It's a bit of a, it's a little chewed up more than the last time we came. You hear, Paul, I don't like these crappy roads. There's sections of it that are really beat up. We're in the forest. We're headed somewhat easterly, I believe. Let's see, at northeast. So we're headed towards 1375. Laura is pulling. There are a lot of undulations here. It's probably around 2-3%. We've picked up this rider in front. I don't know. He was at Taco Corner, and when we left, it just latched on. He and another guy are here. I didn't get their names, but they're the ones that later, his partner, as we get out to 149, his partner continues to push the pace, and we go ahead and just let him go because we're doing something different. We're doing a big ride here. That's Mike Barrera. Kenny's on the left. I didn't see the rider in the back there. That might be John. But you're always going to have this. You go to a meeting place and then somebody latches on or whatever. But what you really should do, if it's you latching onto a group, try to, say hi, hey guys, what are you guys doing? Kind of find out, get an idea. And even if you don't find out, when you're riding with them, watch to see what they're doing.
Oh, what a crappy road, man.
Paul is still cool. You can tell by listening to his voice.
This is a crappy road. I hate it.
I would tell him it's going to get better. You probably don't hear me. I told him, this is going to get better. This is going to get better. Yeah, the road's crappy. You saw me jump to the left because I'm looking for the smoothest pavement. There's not a whole lot of traffic here, and that's probably why it's crappy. It's not heavily used. And so, there's sections where they've paved it and improved sections, but instead of doing the whole thing, they'll probably get around to it. One thing about Texas, though, they do keep up their roads. But this is like a fire trail that the people that manage the forest and do controlled burning, this is what they used to use to get around, to do their controlled burning. So this is not a major thoroughfare, even though it's called Osborne Road. So it's not a priority for them to pave. Hope you know what I mean. Mike hasn't been on this road, so I put it here. I put it here on purpose so he could experience this. There are dogs behind us that live in a yard that he likes. They stay in their fenced area. They're very fast. And so I said, well, let's take the road by Mike's dog. I'd mentioned it to him a long time ago. So he remembered that conversation. And this was more for him. You see this stretch? They just paved this section because it probably had gotten so bad that the people that use it in the state vehicles that come out here to do control burns probably complain enough to get them to come and do it. So they're not going to go pave a road that is not a major artery per se. You know, they got enough other things they're dealing with. And that's what it comes down to. You know, what they say, the loudest can or the squeakiest can get the oil or the grease. So whoever contacts them and say, hey, you know, you guys need to come check out our road, fix our road. Sometimes that's what it takes, you know. And so it's not too bad. Paul just doesn't like all this bouncing around. This was the road that really got my front wheel noisy because all that bouncing around. You know? So when I stand there, I can hear the spokes. And I don't like that. So for us big guys, standing like this is actually an advantage for us because I can get my upper body into the pedals, you know, put more force into the pedals. And it just helps instead of just sitting and spinning all the time. So when I got home after this ride, my back was not aching, nothing. I did not overgear. I paid attention to all my gear selections throughout the ride. I'm sitting on Abby's wheel. Smaller riders have a tendency to spin more because they just don't have the muscular force. So you got to find what works for your body type and do your riding that way. So when we're going up a climb, you're not going to see me spinning at 110 RPMs. That's just going to use so much oxygen. I have a lot of mass to move around. So I will drop my cadence maybe 100 or less, which is still pretty fast. But you got to pay attention to how you're feeling when you're doing that effort. Is it something that you have to stop right away, or is it something you can do for the unforeseeable future of the ride? Those are the questions you have to answer when you make these selections during a ride. Yeah, that's Miss I'm Tired, who was at the front forcing the pace. That's Terry. I said, don't you believe them? So Laura must have been on her wheel because I think Laura's pulling now. And I told Paul on this ride, I said, man, we got to 1375 quickly because when we come through here, we don't move this quickly. Not only is the road crowded, crampy, we want to enjoy the forest. So the guy in front of me, that's his friend here in front of Abby. I never got their names. They never introduced themselves to us.
Where we stop, man? Let's mount the camera there.
So what Paul is saying is when we stop, we need to mount the camera on my bike. And I told him, well, by the time we stop, we'll probably have about 2 hours of footage. I don't know if I want to do any more filming after that. I don't want to go do 3 hours of footage. That's probably what I told him. Yeah, that's what I'm telling him. I don't want to go do 3 hours of footage. But I knew what he meant because all this bouncing around, that stuff bouncing around. You know.
Driving me nuts. I was checking to make sure it wasn't rubbing. And it stopped.
Yeah, I'm telling him I've been checking my wheel because I'm hearing the spokes making noise. And it's done that in the past when the tension was off. And it just needed to be retrued, and I was able to get that done. See, we're here at 1375. We got here quickly. Left turn, Abby said right or left. If you go right, you're going to New Waverly. We're going left.
That's nice, man.
Yeah.
You've never been on that road before.
Go ahead.
There's a car coming, but it's far enough away, so I told him to go ahead. This road is chip seal, and it's not my favorite, but it was just a nice little variety to throw in so Mike can kind of experience the roads nearby where we've been riding on 149. So this is like a little hook that will get us back to 149. Gives him a little bit of a variety. Yeah, it's chip seal and it's rough chip seal. So you just put your head down. I'm using a slightly larger gear than I normally would because it's almost like riding on rough pavement. It gives me more stability. I'm focusing on staying really smooth. Try not to labor. You can see visually the road is going up. You can see the grade in the stats. I believe Laura is pulling at this point. Pace is changing and I'm making sure that I stay close to that wheel in front of me. This road is not a whole lot of fun. You can visually see the little crevices. You know, the chip and seal surface lasts longer because they put rocks down, oil, and they let the cars roll everything in and somehow, but it's not smooth at all. If you're in a car, it's not that big a deal. But on a bicycle, you can feel those little crevices. Right here is not too bad. Yeah, it's one of these roads where the speeds are high. We don't stay on it too long. It's taking us back to 149. It has a shoulder, and then we're going to get on a little side road called Grissom Trail. So the speeds are high, but the cars are infrequent. That's Mike Barrera behind Polilonga. The guy behind Mike Barrera there is one of the riders that latched onto the group after Taco. His buddy is sitting on Laura's wheel in the front. He's in second position. He's the one that's going to ride off the front. I'm just going to let him go when we get to 149. For what we were doing, that just was a bit too much of an effort for the group. We're trying to keep things steady, not treat it like it's a criterium race. The road goes up here slightly. A slight descent. Kicks up here a little bit. So that's 2%. stays like this for a little while. We got a good rhythm here. I'm sitting in right at sweet spot. I'm trying to stay as relaxed as possible. For new cyclists to the sport, it's hard to be comfortable with cars zooming by. And so a lot of new cyclists, it takes a while before they get accustomed to cars going by, you know. And you just need to find quieter roads when you're just starting out and work your way onto riding on busier roads. Find roads with shoulders, stay on neighborhood roads, you know. We come out here because of the solitude and the lack of congestion. So Laura is pulling off after taking her pull. This is a scene where we got the thumbnail from. See how we look like twins? We're wearing the same kit. The female version, she has the pink sleeves. Mine has the orange sleeves. That's the Pro Team training jersey. So the guy who I was talking about that's going to ride off the front has taken over. Look at my watts, almost 500 watts. He's really drilling it with no mind to what this group is trying to do today. So I noticed that right away. The road levels off here, so the wattage are dropping my eyes back to 3-something. And then when we get to the corner, he does not wait for the group to come around the corner. And he just takes off. So I just let him go. You know, if you're riding with a group, there's just certain things you got to do a little differently. That's 149 in the distance there coming up. We're going to be going on the right, which is northeasterly.
This is a crappy road, guys. Sheesh.
Paul does not like this chip seal road. So we turn. That's the guy up there. We turn. I'm with him. And then he just continued to drill it. I'm looking back because I'm making sure the group stays together. So I'll go ahead and back off, just waiting on the group right here. He just keeps riding with no mind or care about what's going on back here. I'm looking for everybody to get together. And he's just off the front. I decide we're just going to do our own thing. In a little while, his buddy will come around and ride up to him. And we just bid them farewell. And even Terry mentioned later, she said, it was good that you guys, I'm paraphrasing, it was good that you guys kind of let them go. He's off in the distance with no care about what's going on with the group. If you're going to ride with a group, you need to look around. So I just let him go. I figure I'm going to just pull here. In a little while, his buddy's going to come around when he realizes we're not chasing his friend down. There he is. I don't know their name. You know, they just joined the group after tacos over there. But others in the group know their names. You know, that's okay. But when you join with a group like that, try to find out, if you want to ride with the group, find out what they're doing. You know, kind of look around, look at other people after they pull, see what they're doing. And then, you know, if you're riding with the group, you go around the corner. It's not a criterion. You know, it's no finish line. Make sure cyclists going the other way. Make sure everybody's together before you resume. And then, so in a little while, Kenny will come around, then Frank will come around. And I know we're going to be turning soon, so I'm just keeping things steady. Tranquilo. Road's going up here. It's about 2 to 3.5%, something like that. Nothing major. So that's Frank going around.
Matches, Frank, you might find it all burned up.
Mike Barrera said, "Don't strike all your matches."
All right, well, let me see.
So Shapusa is asking, what's a book of matches or something like that. So Mike's going to educate him. Don't spend all your fuel. So I'm going to let Kenny know that we're turning right on Grissom.
Right. Yeah, right there.
Oh, we're going right.
Yeah.
So Frank didn't look at the map, I guess. This is Grissom Trail. It gets off of 149. It's very quiet.
You've never been on before. I bet your Shampoo Son's never been on this road.
Well, he's been here. He's been here with us.
Oh, is this the one that goes to Taliafero?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is Grissom Trail. And so Mike Barrera remembers all these roads. Look at Mike Barrera wearing the Asos RS gold and black jersey with the GTO shorts.
No, they went off the front. And you guys let them, which I loved.
You hear Terry?
Loved.
You hear Terry said they went up the front when we let them out. Yeah, they went. Yeah, she said she loved that we let them go because it's like we're doing almost 100 miles. You know, we don't know what they're doing, but still, you go around the corner regardless of how many miles you're doing, unless it's a competitive group ride. Back off a little bit till everybody comes around the corner and the group is back together. Then you resume. You don't just start riding off the front. You know, I could have stayed with him, but that's not our plan. You know, so. So we get off the main road. We can chat over here. You know, people can reach in their pockets, get some food, drink up. We get to take a break. We're not always hammering the whole ride. That's Laura representing my twin on this ride. Laura's looking slick in that kit. Put together really well. The arm sleeves are white. The socks are white. The helmet and the shoes, everything pops. You got that white sock, dark shoes, dark helmet, white sleeve arm warmers, and then blending with the light arm colors, like a light pink on the jersey. Oh, so you can see everything. It's the contrast. Just looks good. You get to see all of it. Some people have to pay designers and engineers or whatever to help them put things together. Laura just has that gift. You see Terry styling in Asos. She got the Asos socks going. Asos jersey. The Shampoo-san. He's got that red, the red. It's almost like reddish orange armband matching his frame. Then the black matching his stealth looking socks and shoes. I mean, all these guys are putting stuff together. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, Frank came back. Frank turned on there are two ways, it's like a triangle. Frank turned and came, he's here. And we're just talking about.
Yeah. Get ready to sprint.
There are dogs that live in the yard over there, but they weren't out today. We were ready to book it. Because by the time they see us, we already have rounded this corner usually. But they weren't out today. There's one of them that chases, the other two ignore us. They're just standing around. They're like, we know better. They can't catch us because this is a downhill and we're really booking. So when he does come out, he stands no chance. He just frustrates himself. I was telling Frank, I said, last time we came by before, the dog who even caught Paul was gone. And so we didn't even get the dog on camera because Paul went around that corner and booked it. That dog didn't stand a chance. That's what we're laughing about. These are the kind of roads where you guys get to chat, drink up, you know, you kind of regroup. Then on the busy roads, you line up and get through it. The whole ride doesn't have to be on the rivet.
Yeah.
The road goes
I
up.
said after that ride, man, whoever, bring it. I'm ready. Shoot. Yep. We sat on it.
Get an idea of what the group is doing.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy that rode off the front. It's kind of like, we didn't know you, you didn't introduce yourself or anything, you didn't ask what we're trying to do. Then you just come, you start forcing the pace. Well, that's okay. You can just do your own thing and we'll just do ours. And that's what happens. So we ended up turning, they're going straight or wherever they're going to end up, but they're not going to see us again. Because this little hook will take us to, I think it's 1791, or whatever this road is, which will take us to Taliafero.
That was on the ride out there, right?
Yeah.
Paul's talking about the ride that they went to Fredericksburg earlier in the week, on a weekday, to ride some hills. It's west of San Antonio, deep in the heart of the Texas Hill Country. They have a lot of long, steep climbs. So you just work hard out there. This is why we like to come out here. These roads are quiet. Yeah, you deal with a dog now and then, but for the most part, this is what you experience. You get to ride without interruptions.
It's a pretty good size group, man. I like it.
Yeah, we got a good turnout today. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if it was on this video, but we're trying to grow a group where we have active riders.
He was calling your name, but you went inside. So he came to me and said, I'm going to ride with these guys. Let the Eldred know.
Okay.
So I said, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I went inside the P, man. Yeah.
He's talking about Jerry leaving Taco Corner with more in them. And Jerry told him to let me know. We'll hook up with Jerry off camera on the way back.
I turned it on as soon as we went into that road. I said, okay.
Mount Pleasant?
Yeah.
Laura was pulling on Mount Pleasant like a maniac. I'm like, you thought we were doing 100 miles?
Crazy
I
girl.
said, Laura, you were killing us at Mount Pleasant. I guess you forgot we're doing 100 miles.
That's true, man. They keep going.
Yeah, messing
right.
Laura. We're talking about Terry, talking about just
You know
tired.
what she did to me?
Well, I walked some more today, Abby.
She said she was tired. I said, yeah, that's a famous word of a cyclist.
Exactly.
Tired. And get to the front and prove it.
Yep.
That was Terry. Terry said she was tired, her legs were tired. You guys heard her on Mill Rock.
On a Wednesday. She goes, oh my goodness, it hurts so good.
Just talking about when they went out climbing in Fredericksburg. I couldn't make it. I had too much going on.
Say hello, man. Let me get this true cyclist right here.
That's Kenny.
Sucker for pain.
That's all. Kenny's a diehard. Abby's a diehard. Shempousa, Clement, John Malbrecht. And John getting something to eat. Yeah, we're about almost 2.5 hours or so into the ride. Yeah, you want to get something to eat. It's a long day.
We're trying to follow the example.
In a little while, I'm going to ride to the front to let Mike Barrera know there was a hole that came up on us the last time we were here, right before we turned left on Taliafero. It's one of those where you just didn't see it till the last minute, and we're going pretty fast here. So it just dawned on me, and then I'm going to shift up and just ride up right here. It's worth the effort to let him know to be aware.
There's a big hole right there. Be careful.
They patched it. You can see the asphalt that dropped in it. It was one of those craters, just a big hole in the concrete. You don't want to hit that. This is Taliafero. It's an Italian name, an Italian family that they named this road after. it was Tagliaferro, and they changed their name to Taliafero. So this is still, I guess, part of the forest. There's somewhere around here, I think it's further down. I tried to get something to eat. I couldn't open my food. I was like, what's going on? I got hungry. I couldn't get the little plastic wrapper. I had to wrap these cookies and stuff like, and they don't want anybody to be able to get in them. I'm biting the thing and whatever, I can't open it. So I told Paul about it. He laughed. My wheels are making noise. I can hear it. And my front wheel, the spokes were off tension, and those aluminum wheels make a lot of noise.
This man gave me a wheel on a time of struggle.
Abby's muscling a big gear here.
Abby, man.
What Paul talking about when they were riding
He
during
is
the
the
week
person to give
in the
me the
climbs
wheel.
in Fredericksburg, he gave him a
Give
wheel.
me a spoon. I took it. I took it, man. I remember you.
You was strong to the end, and you was strong.
Abby spoon fed me, man. I got to the top. I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, thank you for the wheel.
So we're just riding moderately here. Everybody's kind of chatting, catching up. It's kind of nice. There are no cars. That's why we come out on these roads. You get to socialize more. You know, we get enough of a fast pace on the busier roads. So this is a nice little reprieve. I'm telling you, I don't have fond memories of Fredericksburg. Been out there. It's up or down. They got some leg breakers out there. Texas is not flat. Fredericksburg, definitely, they got serious climbs. More the closest thing we have is Chapel Hill that has some steep climbs, but it's not even as steep as out there. It's a long drive.
Not as windy.
Yeah.
So,
What did you guys end up doing?
yeah.
How many miles did you end up doing on the
On the second day?
Yeah.
For me, it was 92.
So they stayed for 2 days, but I think Paul only did 1 day, and Laura, I think, did 1 day as well.
Because I checked the course, he was supposed to be 94, no?
Yeah, there was this portion that we cut off there. So everybody was tired.
I can hear them, so I would tell them 92, 94, that's close enough.
92, 94 is close enough.
Yeah.
I thought he was being
Because they were
picky.
talking about doing 80, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. At the dinner, you guys talked to,
I was hoping because I was worried about Paul B. On the second day. Remember that he struggled on the first day?
yeah.
So I was hoping, I just wanted to make sure that we had an option to go shorter.
Yeah.
But this thing wanted to go long. So,
There was another rider
I mean, if we barely get up
that was there that was
I just couldn't
struggling.
believe
That's
how
what-
hot it was, man.
Yeah, it turned very hot that day.
Yeah, they picked a tough week to go out there because this week, earlier in the week, it was hot, and West Texas is hot.
Yeah.
And
Although
80s
it was
and
windy,
Yeah.
we were not soaked because the wind was blowing on our sweat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which then gave us a false impression that we were not sweating much.
Right.
But you could see the sun, you could see the salt on our
Yeah.
faces.
I had the salt all over me.
Yeah. We all did.
yeah, Paul sweats a lot when he rides in the heat.
Tearing up our little room.
I always wash my helmet straps
Checking
after
out.
every sweaty ride. I always wear a head covering, whether it's summer or winter, whatever. In the summer, we wear the lighter stuff. The reason, and you can do do-rag or whatever. The reason I cover my head is that would protect your helmet from the pads just getting soaked with sweat, and you know, it prolongs the life of the innards of your helmet by keeping something on your head. So in the summer, we wear lightweight wicking caps or bandanas or whatever. I always have something on my head.
Max must have turned from Taco, huh? Because I didn't see Max.
Yeah, he's asking about Max, who was riding with us earlier. He went back after Taco. I didn't see him.
Yeah.
He didn't tell us what he was doing.
messing around, River Chapel, and then he closed the chapel open. Yeah,
I saw it.
turn around,
I'm telling Paul about Max leaving the gap on Ribbon Chapel. I was like, I'm not going around you. Messing around, leaving a gap for no reason. And he knows better, so you know he's an experienced rider. I don't know why he did that, but he ended up closing it up. You guys saw it.
That's why I like this road. You can chat out there.
Yeah.
Cars. So it's closer to the.
Gonna use the road, yeah.
All the animals on this road are enclosed and encased in protected fences and stuff. There's a horse looking at Mike. Mike's gonna wave at him. Right there. That horse, he turned his head. He's looking at us as we go by. Look at the racer dog on the right. It's a black dog. He's racing us in the fence there. He's fast. These dogs are fast. They get 20 miles an hour like it's nothing. This road has a lot of patina, so you got to pay attention. You know, that's why it's quiet. Ain't nobody coming out here, so they don't keep it in tip-top condition, but it's still pretty decent. I love the solitude out here. Even if you come out here by yourself, it's just quiet. Nobody bothers you. They're asking about when people got back from the Fredericksburg trip. I'm behind Paul. I'm trying to open that package with my cookie in it. I've got it's a fig bar, but it's not Fig Newton. It's an unusual bar that we use. It tastes better than Fig Newton. It's made with dates. It looks like the same shape as a fig bar, but it's tastier, it's more moist. It's made by some company. I don't have the name here right now, but anyway, it's just a better quality product. It gives us something to eat on these long rides besides just gels, you know. You need something solid. We're going to be turning on Cedar Hill, and I think Mike Barrera will miss the turn. We'll call out to him because I'm not sure when we're coming. I see the sign, but you can't see it from the distance. What is Cedar Hill? They got a couple of streets up here.
I'm opening this sucker.
I'm telling Paul I have a hell of a time opening.
Which one were you opening it?
I thought I was opening from the top, which is where you should open it. It was just hard to open. It's like I just bit the paper. It's kind of like a plastic, well, saran kind of style. It's hard to describe it. It's not really quite foil. It's like a cross between paper and plastic.
We don't use them, you know, we didn't get the one, but we had a smaller one.
So I'm still looking for Cedar Hill. Cedar Hill is our turn here. So right around this curve, I think the road kicks up a little bit. I think I end up just standing. It's going to kick up to like 5 or 6%. You see Mike Barrera standing. I think I'm going to ask in a little bit, is that Cedar Hill up there? Yeah, right there. I say, is that Cedar Hill? But nobody answers. You can't see the sign from here. But I'm suspecting that I will let him know. But then Mike will have gone by and so he'll have to come around.
Signs are
So yeah, the sign from the distance, you couldn't see it,
I
but
heard you, and then I looked down and saw my arrows.
I suspected that was Cedar Hill. So we're gonna wait for Mike and them to do their U-turn and come join us.
Are you camping for Bruce?
And I remember Jerry coming to create a segment here so you can get the king of the mountain.
Abby is saying Jerry's gonna create a segment here to get the king of the mountain. The Strava segment. These roads are so nice and quiet. A lot of the guys come here, but they go straight on the road we just turned off called Taliafero. It takes you straight to base chapel.
Yeah, man.
Oh, it sounded like a good time.
I decided in the last minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I said, let me go suffer.
Laura said there was great roads there.
Yeah.
Yeah, great roads in Fredericksburg, Texas, but they're up and down.
I just went for the fun of it.
Okay.
There's a car coming. Whenever there's a car on these narrow roads, I give them lots of room because there's no stripe in the middle, and I don't trust that the driver will gauge the spacing correctly. So I don't stay where Kenny is. He's braver than I am. I stay where I think that's Terry. I stay where Terry is. So Laura gets into a rhythm here, and Terry realizes it. She's riding up to Laura's wheel, and Laura gonna take us through this little hook.
Yeah, and now warm up as forecasted.
Yeah, it stayed cooler than they said. Temperature dropped 1C to 16 since we've been out here. It feels colder than 16 Celsius.
I'm hungry. I'm trying to open the thing. The thing doesn't want to cooperate. I'm like, come on.
I'm trying to eat. That package doesn't want to cooperate. Sometimes I pre-cut them, but I had not done that. I'm using a large gear. Just stood up, rolled it a little bit, get on Abby's wheel. The road is very bumpy, full of patina, so I always err on the side of a slightly larger gear. Gives me more stability. I think Laura and Terry are off the front. No, I see Terry here. I guess Laura's up ahead off the front. We're gonna ride up to her. Yeah, that's Laura in the distance there. So Terry and Kenny, and then I accelerate here. This is like a downhill stretch, slight downhill. It's full of patina, so I'm reading the road here. A lot of little cracks and crevices and bumps. And I think we've caught up to Laura at this point. I'm looking for the smoothest path. Yeah, they tore up the road where we just went over to put a culvert there, and they have not put any pavement back. It's got dirt. It was hard packed. It wasn't that bad. So whatever those ladies are doing up front, they're serious because all of a sudden we felt the pace quicken. We don't come through here that fast. So I guess the hiatus is over. So whenever you're following people on rough roads, try to stay on one side or the other so you can at least see what may be coming up. Do not follow the wheel directly necessarily. You got to at least look around. See how I'm off to the left or right of Abby? I can see around him and plan my path. You can't depend on the rider in front of you to find the best line. So by looking around him, I can decide what I want to do. Got a tight line going here. Kenny pulled out of the line. He's probably going to slip on the back. We just go ahead and pull through. See how effective the hand signals are. Paul didn't have to do much. He saw my hand and he knew something's there. Let me not go there. Instead of saying hold. That doesn't accomplish anything. Part of this segment is called Hoke Road. It's going to descend and then it's going to kick up before we hit Base Chapel. I knew that the little guys would be drilling this, so I stand. I'm in a big gear. See the watts? Initially it was like 600-700. Now it's about 4.
Right in there. Yeah. That's what you want to do. You want to ride in that middle of that train right there. Stay on top of it. Don't let. Stay right in there. Don't let an inch separate you.
Okay.
Ride that train all the way up that little road.
Thank you, sir.
That's the way to do it.
The Laura checks has cleared this Base Chapel Road. It's very smooth. You would think it would have more traffic, but it's paved nicely because there's a church on this road called Base Chapel. I guess is what they name it after.
That's the record.
Yeah.
Once we hit 149, we'll be about probably maybe 2 miles, 2.5 miles from Richards. Not far. This is the more scenic way to get to Richards, Texas, in this direction. Laura's pulling us at 40 kilometers an hour. We're headed south. I hear Terry talking. I'm not sure what she's talking about. But she's saying something to Laura, I guess. She's in second position. Laura will not relinquish this position, the lead, until we get to, I believe, 149. Then Terry starts feathering the gear, and I go ahead and get to the front and get us into Richards. Now, one thing about riding in the group, you have to always, emphasis on always, keep your eye on the wheel in front of you. Always know what's going on. If you must look behind, it should just be a glance for a second. But keep your eye on the wheel because things can change. If they break and you're not paying attention, you can run into somebody. So you gotta go, because sometimes lights will change at the last minute and the group decides to stop. You must always be aware of what's going on in front of you. Don't worry about the person following you. It's the person in front of you that can cause you harm if you run into their wheel and cross and overlap wheels. Because we ride with some riders that are looking all around. It's not necessary. You need to pay attention to that wheel in front of you. That's where it counts. That's where it matters. The road goes up. You can see it visually. It's probably about 3.5% or so. I believe that around here, I'm on the small. I shifted to the small chain ring and found the appropriate cog in the rear to where my cadence didn't change that much. It just gives me more gear selection choices. I come to the side to not break up my rhythm because my rhythm is causing me to almost overlap Chapoussin. That's why I moved to the left. I don't want to lose that momentum I have. This is a long climb. We're still going. It kicks up again here. So Laura pulls off the front. The line goes through. The road's flat now. Slight bump, 1% instead, relatively flat.
Good job, champ.
Laura's driving a groove jack. She ain't messing around. So Terry's up there. John's behind her. We're gonna turn right in about probably 500 meters. So right here, she starts to slow down. Watch her, she's like feathering the pedals. And this terrain favors us big guys. The bumps that are here, they're short. And then we've got like mostly rolling, slight downhill. I'm like, this is the time to enjoy the speed. So I go ahead and roll to the front. I'm gonna slip her the wheel. She'll pull off the front. I'm not sure why, I guess she's done. I slip her my wheel. And she pulls off to the left, and John gets on my wheel right there. she's gonna slip to the back. So as she's spinning, she needs a bigger gear. She's spinning too much. That's what she was telling me. Is that all you're carrying? You're pretty strong. She's used to turning those little gears real fast. Women generally don't have muscle mass like men. I mean, that's the difference in the thing. So you don't need to push monster gears to be good at cycling. I don't mash. I just, 90. I'm probably doing like 90, 95. Just rolling, just keeping things steady to get us into Richards, Texas. We're in Grimes County. The road surface changes. This is not a bad chip seal like the tough one on 1375 that Paulie Longa said, the crappy road. Paul just speaks his mind. And Paul doesn't say a whole lot, but when he does, he just says what's on his mind. I've just selected whatever gear feels to where I can feel the gear without laboring. That's all I'm doing here. Steady, smooth pace. I'm sitting right at sweet spot. It's a nice tempo pace, let's put it that way. I can do this for a very long time. It's very sustainable. This is my Wednesday effort. Let's put it that way. Whenever I get the train on Wednesdays. It's nice to be able to see the speeds here on the stats that I'm looking at. Because when I'm riding, I focus more on a rhythm, like what kind of cadence I'm turning. I glance at speed from time to time, but I don't watch that. Just how does this feel? Am I in the proper ratio? Do I need to shift down? Do I need to shift up? Or stay here? Because the terrain's always changing. Mike Barrera, San Diego, Texas Mike. Frank back there behind Mike. We're all moving. Abby's at the tail, the caboose of the group. Rolling into Richards, Texas on a very gray morning. Mild temperatures. Beautiful. What else you gonna be doing on a Saturday? We're into Richards. We know we're here because the tracks are real crappy. They have a small tax base. Yeah, look at that. That's why I waved and we all let everybody know.
Grimes County.
We're in Grimes County, yeah. They got a smaller tax base.
Grimes County.
Richards, Texas. Rolling into town. The boys used to come down here on their horses. It's the main drag here. So I'm kind of cooling down a little bit, and I think somebody's going to ask about a store or something. Yeah, so they have a nice store in there. We're laughing about something. Probably Terry telling us she's tired and going to the front and forcing the pace. That's probably what we're talking about.
That's a store.
Yeah, he's asking about where are we going to stop.
Second store.
He has to go to you.
Yeah, they've got a nice big store and places to sit.
Us.
Yeah, that pause of the chicks are killing us. Yes, that's Laura.
I was just happy to be off of that rough road.
Yeah, that's 1375.
watts.
So Mike Barrera always trying to classify how many watts they're using. So they need 250, we need 500. Kind of like Merckx and Okana, lightweight riders. Mike always gives the lightweight riders a hard time. Those with their little bikes. He was telling us a story about the little bikes. Mike would be a great storyteller.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's funny, people have multiple skills. We don't always get to explore every avenue of the skills that we have. I like listening to Mike. He's a good storyteller. This is Richards, Texas, people. Quiet, not a whole lot going on. People are very friendly. We're sitting at the store. Everybody that came to the store said hi. I mean, it's like, this is where, yeah. So I don't know what you did on Saturday, but we got crazy with the filming here. We had a spare battery and went real crazy. We have a lot of footage, as you can see. So get your K's in, and remember, keep the doctors.
John, I'm going to share this spot with you, sir, if you don't mind.
What's that? Oh, yeah. Please do.
Paul is parking next to John.
You're going to put it inside?
Yeah.
Woo.